Gentlemen, welcome to the first ever Splinterlands debate. Tonight, we have RoguePatton.
Yeah. It is a pleasure to be here, sir. I'm very happy to be blessed with this opportunity to preach the good news of Splinterlands and being a player in the game. Thank you, sir.
Okay. And next to him, we have Sinister, Tales of the Cryptmancer. Is that his name or Cryptomancer? I forget. Which one are you?
Technically, it's Tales from the Cryptmancer.
Oh, my bad.
But it's all right. It's all good. I'm just here, actually, Jim, just to hear you and Rogue crack jokes. So I'm just here to listen. So keep going.
I'm the one who's hosting this, right?
Oh,
You're here to debate?
oh, okay. Well, we can do that.
Okay, perfect. So in this first episode, we will be going over the pack burning of Chaos Legion. So real quick, I'll have Rogue step up. Just go ahead and give us a brief summary as to why you're for and or against.
So I am for the pack burning. I think it would be a real benefit to get the ball moving onto Rebellion.
Okay.
Perfect. Let's go home.
All right, that's the show. Take care, guys.
I am completely against the pack burning aspect. Short summary: as a player, coming from a long history background in trading cards, the idea that something is only available for a year before it gets completely turned over to the secondary market is, that is a foreign concept to me, especially when, the team has come out with statements like Modern is supposed to be, the entry point for new players. It's supposed to be the most, cost-effective entryway to play the game, right? Well, not when one of the two sets that is always legal in Modern is going to be out of print forcefully by the company, not by just natural demand. I don't like it. I don't agree with it.
All right, Sinister, are you for or against?
So I am for a time box window for the Chaos Legion packs to be either purchased or slowly burnt in this fatigue round proposal. I know Rogue would like to live in the past and, live with paper cards, but we're actually we're in the blockchain here in Splinterlands, and we're in the digital NFT arena here, where we have deflationary card assets, where rarity is part of the ecosystem that makes it all run. And while Rogue would like us to believe that Chaos Legion is the last set that's going to be ever produced in Splinterlands, the reality is well, we already have Rift Watchers with plenty of cards on the market, and we have Rebellion pretty much waiting in the wings, plus whatever comes after that. So there's no shortage of cards or packs or products on the shelves coming for new players. And really, at the heart of the issue here is that the Chaos Legion packs were grossly overprinted, and there's many more than we have players to consume them. So it only makes sense that you pretty much have basically a fire sale and get rid of all your merchandise that you really can't sell. So,
Wow. All right, he's taking it personal right out of the gate. Rogue. So, with you being an old man living in the past of card games,
Yep.
how do you take that statement?
I mean, it's it comes from a place of ignorance, and that's okay. These kids and their fancy dancy computer machines, that they can only teach you so much, right? So, at the end of the day, my experience, even though it was in cardboard before it was in computers, like I know what scarcity is, I know what supply and demand is, I know what distribution models look like. I have the gambit in real life, IRL, not the digital assets. And so I think a lot of those experiences can come into the game if the people that are currently here have an open mind to it. Because at the end of the day, there is a gap that has to be bridged. You can't keep this like a crypto project that is run like everything else and then build a model that says we want the Web 2 gamer. Because guess what? The Web 2 gamer doesn't get it. The Web 2 gamer doesn't understand why they have to be here for a year and to be present in order to get these things. You know what I mean? Anybody that jumps into any other game can get modern, standard, recent cards for a decent price, and that appreciation happens over a 5-year time frame, 6-year time frame. And I think that's the difference between, you know, the young people. They're all trying to do everything so fast. They're just like, I want it now. I want a moon now. I want my cards to appreciate now. You know, when at the end of the day, all of us that have been in the trading card world, it happens. It happens over a 5-year time frame. It happens over a 6-year time frame. And guess what? We didn't have a burn mechanism. The burn mechanism in the real world, right? The combining of cards that we have in Splinterlands. In the real world, that was just cards getting lost in an attic in a shoebox, or getting, you know, just completely like lost. Like that's how we burn through cards in the real world. So, you know, there's a lot of stuff that transitions, I think. And I think that's the mindset that we have to change to, is if you want the gamers, you have to have the product available for them. Because let me just ask you this, Tails. In your ample supply of Chaos Legion, how's that treating you in Champion right now? How's that treating you in Diamond? Or are you missing some cards? I feel like there's maybe a whole set that you might be missing and might be really expensive, that might be getting in the way of your playing experience.
Well, before we talk about Untamed and the timing there, I mean, I think we should go back to a couple of your points. I mean, first off, you know, the problem with the Chaos Legion set that we have right now is because, you know, the Web 2 gamers aren't here. And that's why, you know, we have too many cards. And that's why we're looking at a burn situation, because, you know, the number of Chaos Legion packs that were minted with a number that was, you know, admittedly by Matt and the team, incorrect. And because the Web 2 gamers have not come here in droves and are not replacing the bots that have been basically taken out of the system, about 200,000, if you look at the numbers and the data, they haven't been replaced by Web 2 gamers. So that's the problem. And, you know, obviously I totally, you know, all comedy aside, I mean, I definitely respect your opinion and your point of view, and I think it's valid in a lot of cases. But for this particular case, you know, I think, you know, if we look at Splinterlands, the beauty of Splinterlands is it's not trying to be Magic the Gathering. It's not trying to be Hearthstone. It's innovating, and it's being Splinterlands. And as part of that experience, you know, we are on the blockchain. We have verifiable print numbers. You know, it's not like we're a, you know, whatever. I don't even know who makes Magic. Is it Hasbro? I don't even know, to be honest with you.
Wizards of the Coast.
Wizards of the Coast? Okay. Which is Hasbro, right?
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah. So, you know, they could spin up their print presses and do whatever they want in the darkness of the night, and no one would know any better. So, you know, for that.
They literally do. That's the most frustrating part about Magic the Gathering.
Yeah. So again, you know, and then you have to also look at the, you know, I know you jest with the computer and the digitalization aspect of it, but, you know, for selling, you know, cards like Magic or other related games, you know, you're selling that physical card, you're having to go through eBay or whatever, Mercari or what have you. You have to ship it through the post office and do all this stuff. I mean, we can do this, you know, sitting in our pajamas on our computers or our phones, and do it in real time and do it any time of the day, 24/7 globally. So again, you know, when you compare the two, it's apples and oranges. It's not the same thing. And for that, we have to look at, you know, innovative ways to deal with issues and challenges. And I think there definitely is a challenge with the print run. And if I may, Jim, I'd like to provide as evidence label A.
What is this, a trial?
For the debate. I'd like to drop this clip here. And if maybe you could play that clip and we could chat about
what is this?
Okay. I will allow it, even though going forward, if you are bringing any form of evidence into this courtroom,
to be submitted to your opponent.
The opposing side has 100% transparency with whatever evidence it is that you are providing, so that way they are able to come back from it.
Came out of
You
left
can't
field with
be
this.
surprising them with this.
Let
He
the record
literally added me in this. He clipped and added me.
he added you.
What an attack on me.
Okay.
let the record show that I published this to the community at large before our stream tonight.
That's why I would personally say, we wouldn't want to wait for that. And ultimately, again, like the pack burn thing, it's sort of also not really beneficial for the company. That's just something that as a player and as a community member, like I think would be awesome. Like there's, I think, too many packs available right now for that the market can really bear. And rather than just sit there and wait for them to sell out, if it can just be this mechanism, which is sort of like a Dutch auction type mechanism, for letting the market decide what the right amount is, that can help also kick off a big push in asset prices and be a really big boon for players who have the packs and have the cards. That's just my opinion. This
Oh, what?
mechanism, which
Did you
is
hear
sort
that
of like a
sound?
Dutch
Oh, sorry.
auction
That was me
type
dropping the
mechanism,
mic.
Oh yeah?
for
That
letting
sounded like you
letting the
like
market decide
riding
what the
on the
right
back of Matt to like do all your speaking for you.
Damn.
You know what that is? I think that's called bootlicking. I think is the general term that the kids use nowadays when you're just like in lockstep with whatever your lord says. You know? Yeah, but Matt says, yeah, burn packs. And we're like, yeah,
All right.
I'll burn packs.
All right, guys. Okay, let's not make this personal attacks. Okay, we're here for a good, clean debate.
There is so in the context of why I disagree with the burn, I think there are aspects to the burn that Matt touches on here that I think is kind of like a mental barrier to why everybody thinks we have to burn. We have stuff in place right now that is dependent on like the set being sold out, which I also fundamentally disagree with, and I think that needs to be like made really clear. I do not believe Rift Watchers has to wait for Chaos Legion to sell out. I do not believe that 100%. I also hate that our airdrops are tied into pack sales. At the
Real
end of
quick,
the day.
are you meaning Rebellion? Just to
Yeah,
be
what
sure.
did I say?
You said Rift Watchers.
Oh, I apologize.
Okay.
Yeah, no,
Rebellion.
Rebellion. I totally think both of those sets could be on sale at the same time. Both of them can be in the store. I have no issues with that. But also, I also believe one of the big issues that we have is our airdrops are not on the time. Like there's this concept of like the fatigue rounds of burning that I agree with in terms of getting the airdrops out. In the way that I would build it, right? If I knew what I was doing or if I knew anything, it would be on a 2-year time frame. Okay, like a set of cards would be out for 2 years. It doesn't have to be printed, for to oblivion, but it's going to be out for 2 years. Once it is going to rotate into wild, that's the timestamp, and it'll be gone, deleted, burned, whatever at that point. Once it rotates to wild, while it's modern legal, if it didn't sell out naturally from the original print run, then it should be available all through the time of modern. And then 2, the airdrop should be timed within the first year. All the airdrops should be released before the next set comes out. Like, I think that should just be a given, right?
So can
If
I ask you a
those-
question, Rogue?
Go ahead.
So did I just hear you correctly in saying that you're not opposed to a burn of packs after a set given time frame? Did I
Once
just hear
they
that
are no
correctly?
longer modern legal, yes. That is where I would draw the line, because that's where every other trading card game draws the line.
So
You know
you're
what I mean? So
drawing-
that's where, like, the concept isn't that, like, I'm completely against the burn, period. I'm completely against only one set being available at a time. I'm completely against one set that is modern legal being forcefully burned. I don't mind if it sells out entirely. Markets do market things, right? But forcefully burned before it rotates out of modern, which is supposed to be the cost-effective format. It's supposed to be the not $1 million format, you know what I mean? Which it already still is. That's the thing. With the print runs that we have of Chaos Legion right now and Rift Watchers, it's still like $10,000, $8,000 to have a champion level deck in both those sets. You add a whole nother set, that's $16,000.
I think
Of
those
the cheap
numbers.
stuff.
I think those numbers are exaggerated. I would have to verify that, but I'm guessing they're incorrect. But also, I mean, you keep talking about champion level decks. I think we all know that for even tournaments, you don't need every card to be successful. So
Whoa.
the illusion,
Hold on.
especially
You said that like a fact?
no, I'm saying as a player in ranked battles and tournaments, I think it's an illusion to say you must have a complete deck to be competitive.
Ooh.
I think-
That's a point I would totally argue against you with, because
I,
all of your best players, all the people that top tournaments do have full decks. Like, the data is there that suggests that the top 16 people, the leaderboard people, are all renting all the cards. Like, they have everything.
Just
right?
a minute here, guys. Just a minute. So getting the exact numbers. So in order to get a maxed out Chaos Legion set, it's for Diamond, so maxed out stuff.
Yep.
It's $5,600 for just Chaos Legion, and then for Rift Watchers, it's $4,400.
Wow, that's
So
just about
it's
10K.
It is. It's a little over 10K. I wasn't even adding the others on top of the reward cards for Chaos Legion as well, which is just another $200.
Yeah, and
Yes,
so
but-
this is a big distinction here, because as a player, as a competitive player, and the cool part is I have other competitive players that will back me on this, right? Like, when you hear when you hear Ali Straza talk about it, when you hear her manager, I can't think of his name right now, but like, he did a 2-hour podcast with the People's Guild talking about this specific issue, about how like competitive players need to have every card available because that's how they are competitive, right? When we talk about the bots, the Archmage bots that are performing the best, that are completely denominating, these are fully equipped bots.
Right,
Right,
but
so-
you're talking of like a percentage of 1% of the population that plays Splinterlands right now. You're talking about champion level leaderboard players. You're talking about such a few number of peoples or bots or whatever that it's really not relevant to the overall discussion. Most players don't play at Diamond or Champion.
But
Most
is
players
that
don't.
because of the barrier of entry for cost?
Well, I mean, the barrier of entry for cost is, again, it's subjective. The cost for someone, for example, maybe that lives in the United States versus somewhere else in the world is a totally different equation. So again, cost is relative to, investment. And we also haven't even talked about the rental market. You don't have to buy a full Chaos Legion deck. Like you said, there's many people that will rent and play in Champion to get SPS rewards and do so profitably, and not have to really actually own any cards in doing so. So they're just renting to pay for the rentals and then net a profit. So again, it's again, there's this illusion that says you have to have cheap cards available to the masses, but you're talking about the masses, but you're using your example to illustrate the point by saying only the top 1% of 1% is actually going to need all of those cards.
Oh,
So-
it doesn't because like, I, as a silver level player, I need max level all silver cards. Like, so my deck right now is like $2,000, and so that's what I mean is like a bronze level competitive player needs about $2,000, I think, right now, or no, $1,000 to go bronze, chaos, and Rift Watchers, right? That's bronze. Think about that number. To have all the cards available for Chaos and Rift Watchers, and potentially the Rebellion and the mini set coming up, we're talking about $2,000 decks for bronze to be like, to have every card and to be the most competitive in bronze. Same with silver. You get to like where you're at like 4,000 or 8,000 between the two sets or something along those lines. And then it just gets exponentially bigger depending on the league that you're in. But the argument doesn't change that if you're a max level player, you need, or if you're in Champion, you need all the cards, right? If you're in Diamond, you need all the cards. If you're in Gold, you need all the cards. because that's how you're the most competitive. So it doesn't
Okay.
change what league you're in.
So let me ask you a question, Rogue. How many tournaments have you played in the last week?
6.
You played 6 tournaments.
Yep.
Let me just pick 3 random cards and be honest with me here, right?
Yep.
In this last 6 tournaments, how many times did you use the, let's say, how many times did you use a Shadow Snitch? How many times did you play that card?
Shadow Snitch is a reward card, 1 cost, right?
Shadow
No.
Snitch is the, I believe he's a 4-drop Death Chaos Legion. He has Reach. He's either 4 or 5-drop.
So I know the card that we're talking about. He's actually really good in mini monsters when you're out of blue. Like when you don't have blue as an option, like no shields, and you need all that health.
How
like,
many
he
times have you
actually
used them in the last week?
Maybe once or twice.
Maybe once or twice. Okay.
Maybe like specifically that rule set, Little League and blue's got to be out of the question.
Okay. How about Ifrit Rising?
Ifrit Rising is the
Recharge magic.
overcharge, recharge magic. Oh yeah.
In red.
Again, once or twice. I've used them once or twice.
Okay. Pick just a third one and we'll call it at that. Venari Knifer.
Venari Knifer. Interesting enough, in the Chaos Legion only tournaments, I've used him 3 or 4 times.
Okay.
Chaos Legion only is kind of where you start to like look at your cards and you're like, damn, like you really need to reach for some. Like, so is he a rank meta play? No, probably never. Is he used in the Chaos Legion only tournaments? Yeah, he's meta there. But to the point there, in those 6 tournaments that I did, the only ones that I win are the Chaos Legion only ones. And I win those because I own all the cards.
Yeah, I guess
they're all at max level.
Sure. And I guess what I'm saying is these are cards that are niche cards that most people that play ranked battles are probably not using. And if they wanted to use them, they could rent them for literally fractions of pennies.
Yep.
So when you're talking about you must have Chaos Legion on the shelf and it must be cheap for everyone to be able to have, why not just have the game be all ghost cards and just give everyone all the cards and call it a day? Why even have an economy? Just say, hey, everyone, you don't have money, it's okay, play for free. There's no play and earn here. Have all the cards. They're cheap, they're free. Have at it. The reason why we can't do that is because there's an economy behind the cards that drives the play and earn aspect. You can't take the game away from the DeFi, and you can't take the DeFi away from the game.
Why
They're
is
hand
your
in hand
DeFi
together.
on a 1-year timeline? Why does it have to be a 1-year timeline? Everybody's stuck on 1 year. Everybody's like stuck on this concept, and really we've been gifted with an opportunity here to go past a year. They did it with Untamed. Untamed went 18 months, right? And it was 1.5 million packs. They didn't burn that. They let it run out, and then when the bull market hit, it was gone. And now it's the most expensive, most powerful set, and it took 18 months to sell out that set. So why does this one have to be a year?
Well,
There's no reason except for just old habits.
No, it's not an old habit because they've never done it before. What they're doing is innovating here and trying to make the game better. They're not trying to rest on the laurels of the past. They're trying to learn from the past.
But isn't this a contradiction to like everything that we've been told for the last year? Like they've literally turned on a dime now to where like burning Chaos Legion is fine. It was literally a couple months ago when Yasik was coming out that we were literally following the same curve as Untamed is what they said. You know, like everything was going fine. Everything was looking great, following the same curve, same demand. And they were talking about land. You're not going to have enough cards. Even all of these, we're not going to have enough cards. Why is all of this changing now?
Okay, well, let me first address one of the points there is that Chaos Legion is not the last set. There will be plenty of cards in the future of Splinterlands that will be able to be deployed on land. So have no fear. Have no fear. Steady your loins, Rogue. You'll be okay. Now, the other thing I'll say here is that Aggie's the chief FOMO officer. He's going to want people to buy Chaos Legion packs. But let me ask you this question. Since the end of the SPS airdrop, do you know how many Chaos Legion packs have been sold since the end of the SPS airdrop?
Oh, yeah, what was it? Like 800,000 or so?
Do you know when the SPS airdrop ended?
It was
Mid-August.
was that July? Or was it
And
August?
it was end of July. End
Yeah,
of July.
so yeah,
July
it
That
started-
was
26th.
forever ago.
July 26th, yeah, forever
Yeah.
ago. And we sold 800,000. And do you know how many of those were actually sold versus how many were given
Yeah.
away as rewards?
Oh, no, I get it.
Yeah, I mean, we're going to be here
100%.
literally until 2024 at the current rates before Chaos Legion is sold out. Do you want this future of the game to be jeopardized from an economic standpoint due to a numbers mistake that was done based on incorrect data around bots? Or do you want them to correct the mistake and move the game forward? You can't move forward in the current environment is what they're telling you. They're saying we made a mistake, we want to fix it. Yes, we could let these packs be here until 2024, but that's not helpful for the game. It's not helpful to the players, and it's just not helpful, period. And that's why the clip that we played earlier was Matt saying, hey, look, we made a mistake, and this is what our recommendation is to fix it. And while I understand you may have an opinion that we don't want to do that, I honestly have to say I think it's a flawed opinion.
But like you haven't like acknowledged that I don't want it to be here till 2024. I want it to be here till 2023 when it rotates in the wild. That I don't want it to stagnate development. I want Rebellions to still come out. I want the airdrops to be released because like there are certain aspects to all of this that like change everything. Like what if instead of this burning, what if the time thing was they still just progressed with the airdrops? What if we had all of the airdrops before, 11 million was sold, right? Like then like with each airdrop legendary we get like a $20 card in the packs. We have a bunch of packs still unopened. It raises the value of the set, the expected value of the packs. More packs get open. Like just giving us the airdrops would push this along. You know what I mean? Once we got to the point where like right before Rebellion, if all the airdrops were out, like what does that even look like? Does anybody know what that looks like when you've still got like 4 million or 3 million packs on the shelf and every legendary summoner is in those packs and they're still $4 from the store?
I mean,
Nobody knows what that looks like because they're stuck on this idea that they can't make another set without getting rid of this one, that they can't do the airdrops without sequentially getting rid of the packs. And that's
Yeah, I
where I
mean-
say open up your mind.
well,
We can have our cake and eat it too.
So I would agree that we haven't thought about dropping airdrops outside of pack purchases because the airdrops are the carrot that drives the pack purchases in the past.
But that carrot hasn't worked.
Agreed.
What if
Now
instead that carrot is the carrot to open the packs?
it's definitely an interesting proposal. It's not one that's on the books right now, but it's definitely one that could be looked at. I don't think anyone from a player standpoint would be objecting to getting free airdrops and free, legendary cards raining from the skies. That's probably fine. But I think what the bigger problem is with your proposal here, and maybe not be as well thought out, is if you have on the shelves 15 million Chaos Legion packs, which is 75 million cards, which, by the way, more than 50% of those aren't even opened and available in the market. And then you still have over 2.1 million Riftwatcher packs, which is another over 10 million cards available. And then you want to introduce another, I don't know, say 15 million more packs of Rebellion. At what point do you flood the market with so many cards and you have such a small player base that the game dies because you've stuck your head in the sand and just said, release all the cards all at once, forever and ever, until 2023, when we can then move on to the next set? And then it's too late. So I understand your vision, and I agree with you that, if in a perfect world they were to do this right, they could reset the calendar and get on a schedule that makes sense. Yes, I think that could be something that could be looked to be attained in the future in a proposal put forth.
You and I definitely agree on that. When they come out with Rebellion, they need the timeline expressed. And honestly, that's one of the things that pisses me off the most about Splinterlands is they should, like, Splinterlands should have a day every year that we release the brand new set. like May the 4th. I don't flipping care which day it is, but like it could be Splinterlands Day every year where that's where we get the new set because they should be on a 1-year rotation. Like they have enough at this point that like they should be consistently with that. And that's the other thing that I don't like about their model of having to be done with the previous set before the next one comes out. At
Well, I
the end
think
of the
what
day, you should release cards every single year. That's what keeps the meta fresh. That's what keeps the player base fresh. You
Yeah,
know,
and I think that's what they're working towards, honestly. The reason why I think they chose March 31st as the date is they're trying to get on that 9-month, 3-month subset, kind of schedule, similar to what they're envisioning for GLG. So I think that's their vision, and they need to draw a line in the sand and get that schedule put in place. And they can't do that right now in the current format because, again, like I said, at the current rate, we'd be here until 2024 in some unknown time frame in Q1 or Q2 at the current burn rates of these cards. So what they're, I think, trying to do is set that date. Hey, March 31st, is the end of Chaos Legion. Mark it on your calendar. Put a pin in it, right? And then you've got your period of time. Let's say it's 3 months, whatever that happens to be decided. And then you roll into Rebellion. And then they've got a set calendar starting basically, what would that be? July 1st is your yearly reset for your sets at that point in time. So I think that's what they're trying to get to. And I think they're going to have similar to what you have in Tower Defense and with GLG with a definitive date, where they're not going to have this issue in the future. So I think they've learned from their mistake. Now with Chaos Legion, they're just trying to say, hey, look, community, we made a mistake. Help us fix it. Help us get us back on track. It won't happen again. We're going to put the right guardrails in place, and then let's just move forward. And I think that's what this proposal is all about.
Yeah. Yeah, so I think this will just be one of those areas that we might have to look back in a couple years. And like maybe when there's a couple other rogues in the system, right? When there's a couple other people that have come from trading cards or, big, games and have come into this, we'll kind of see what they feel like when, they came in and they have Rebellion of plenty and Chaos Legion is, a little bit, sparser. And, then you got people like me dominating leaderboards because I own every flipping card.
Well,
And it's going to be really frustrating for a lot of other people.
That's the $1 million question. Is this game big enough for more than one rogue? That's the $1 million question right there.
100%. It's totally big enough. Totally big enough. They can have 1 million rogues in here. 100%.
Well,
But
I don't know if there's enough cards for that rogue.
I mean, to kind of sum it up, if they came out with a schedule early, that would be fine. I would encourage them to try and just put the airdrops on a schedule first. Don't tie them to the pack sales because the market does market things at the end of the day. Like if they've sold 1 million and they've printed 10 million, and by the time we get the 7th airdrop, we've only got 1 million packs opened with 7 legendary cards in it, all worth the pack value is going to be nuts. There's going to be an arbitrage at that point. There's always going to be an arbitrage. So I would encourage them to think outside the box in terms of what is really the carrot, right?
Yep.
Because there are people that are holding on to their packs till all the airdrops are done.
Sure.
And then they're going to open their packs, right? So, I'd say, we could probably see what that looks like here soon.
Yeah, I could see it. For example, if you have a 9-month window that the set's going to be available for, you could set up maybe every 3 weeks you get an airdrop, whatever that happens to be, however many airdrops you have divided by 9 months, to your point. Don't have it based on pack sales, but have it based on time.
Yeah.
Maybe that's what they do.
At the end of the day, we also got, we've got a meta concern at this point. We're going to get this, airdrop legendary summoner, right? And it's going to be pretty close to when Rebellion releases, and based on their schedule, right? That means we've really only got this one airdrop that we're going to be able to play in Modern for a year and a couple months. You know what I mean? Where we had the rest of Chaos Legion for 2 years or so. And so...
Well, we've only had Wraith and Yasik for even only a short period of time, since basically end of July.
He's talking about summoners. He's talking about throwing into the new set when it rotates out. So
Yeah.
at that point, it'll be a year and some months.
Yep.
That's what he's
No,
talking about.
no. Yeah, I agree. And I agree what he's saying. I guess all I'm saying is that right now we haven't even had, since the legendary summoners were the last airdrops in Chaos Legion, right?
Mhm.
We only have had the two legendary summoners that we've had for just a short period of time. So even those, their usage will be limited in the grand scheme of the set.
Yeah. Yeah, and then the last note that I would just say is like this shouldn't be a shock to anybody. Like this slow turn in packs. I don't really know if it has so much to do with demand or if it has to do with that we're in a bear market and that like they spread us thin. The company spread us thin with their lineup here in like October. Like October's been a month from hell. We had Splinterfest, we had GLG, we had Tower Defense, we had Rift Watchers right before that. We had Rooney. Like, holy crap! Like, it shouldn't be a shock that we're like, oh man, I don't know, packs aren't selling. Well, yeah, you offered 6 other products.
I agree. I mean, that's definitely not helped us. But also remember, we've had, since the SPS airdrop ended when DEC was switched over to be buying Chaos Legion packs, we've still only sold approximately 800,000 packs since the end of July. October's definitely been busy, and certainly people are probably conserving funds starting maybe in September. But we still had, August and start of September to make a dent in Chaos Legion, and we really didn't. So, again, I think it's definitely, to your point, it is about having a lot of stuff to buy. It is about the bear market. But again, I think it also goes to the fact that, we just don't have the player base that can consume the current packs today. Now, will it be there in the future? I believe so, yes. And that makes it even more valuable for those that are in the game now that have access to these cards and can get these cards now. They're going to have something very valuable in the future because rarity is obviously a good thing when it comes to large numbers of people wanting things, right? So from that perspective, I think it bodes well for us long term. I just think it's something that is timely, and it's probably the proposal should probably pass.
One thing, real quick, when we were talking about a specific day to be releasing a set, if we actually look at the finishing day of March 31st for if the burn goes through, 3 months later, we'd be looking at pretty much the end of the airdrop. So what if they're trying to make that yearly Splinterlands day, essentially, pretty much when the end of the airdrop even was?
Yeah.
What is that? That's
Pretty much the
March
July 26th.
Yeah, that would basically March 31st to like essentially July 1st timeframe. It's lining things up to that schedule for them, and maybe there's a reason for that. Certainly, could be.
Yeah. Yeah, because I mean, all right, I guess like here's another thing that we could probably argue about is like I completely disagree with the 3-month no product timeline. Again, something that they are like stuck on that I hate. I hate the idea.
It's not a 3-month no product. It's just of the main set. We'll still have the Rift Watchers
If it's not sold out.
if it's not sold out.
Yeah. So like I don't know. In my mind, and then like the argument right now is that like nobody wants to sell Rift Watchers for DEC. So like if we have created a product backed stablecoin and we're committing to a quarter of every year, like 1/4 out of our 4 quarters in a year is not going to have the product that you buy with DEC. What?
The main set. Again, Rift Watchers may sell out, and it could be like Untamed and Dice. Yeah.
So what are we pegging to at that point? Like if we're committing as a company to not having a product on the shelf, a main product on the shelf, what is our stablecoin going to be backed by in that window?
Yeah, I mean, it's an interesting question. I mean, there's obviously other things like tower defense and other things that DEC could be purchased with. They'll likely have some type of voucher store and other, syncs available in the game at some point. But I agree. I mean, I don't argue that point. I think it's a valid question. I think a bigger question would be something that After Sound I think is alluded to as well, and to say that there's a belief that we may not see that Untamed Dice quiet period where we have no cards available like we saw this in 2021
Yeah.
again, just because people are wiser. They'll just be like, hey, I know in 3 months I'm going to get a chance to buy, Rebellion or whatever the next set is. So I will just be patient and rent and wait. And we might not have that appreciation because we have smart consumers.
Yeah,
or
I mean, all three
patient
of us
consumers.
came in. All three of us came in about the same time,
Mm-hmm.
right?
August 15th
Yeah, and
last year.
yeah, end of
mine was
August.
September.
Yeah, and we didn't know really for sure when Chaos Legion was coming out because the issue that the team had is they were fighting server fires. They were just trying to keep the game upright. They weren't working on next card edition or anything like that. So
Yeah.
we just didn't know when cards would be available to us. Like I made a conscious decision personally, for example, that I wasn't investing in any Untamed Summoners like Pyre or any of those, right? I just said, look, I'm just going to rent. I'm going to get one summoner, a dragon summoner. I got Kretch to the level I needed to compete in gold. And I'm like, look, I'm riding Kretch, ride or die. I either get dragon or I lose. And it was okay because we didn't really have ECR back then. That was a critical, issue for playing and earning. But I think what's going to happen, moving forward is, we'll probably have better educated consumers and patient players that are just, wait 3 months because we saw at Splinterfest, you saw with your own eyes that, they're in person, that they've got a lot of stats and a lot of card arts and card designs already done. So they are so far ahead of the game in my mind compared to where they were with Chaos Legion, that the confidence of the player base knowing that, hey, I know a set's coming. And I just don't know if we get that pump like we saw last year. So
yeah, and huge hats off to the creative team. Like they're moving to full art cards is perfect.
Beautiful.
It is perfect. Every game, every like serious trading card game has their like chase cards, like they're really rare, like the best art, the coolest foilings, like those are all full art cards nowadays. Like Pokemon's doing it, Magic's doing it. The game I was playing, they were always doing it. But like full art is the way to go because at the end of the day, a lot of your TCG audience appreciates the cards for the art. And so to like get the rest of the stuff out of the way and go there, I'm totally happy with that. Very exciting.
Question. Do you think so for Magic and for Pokemon, they still have their standard frame that they do, and for Magic they'll take like the same card and then make a special edition out of it, giving it a full art. And then same with Pokemon, like their Vs, aside from their basic ones, right?
Yeah.
Do you think that that's something Splinterlands could do, of adding essentially a higher rarity, of being like, hey, you could have it how the old frames kind of look, right? Even though they're always changing up their frame. But then you could have a rarity variant of full art for legendary cards.
Yeah, I mean, I could probably see it to where, like, because that was one of the things they were talking about. They were like, here's this, and then here's the gold foil, and everyone's like, well, you're not really like. Once you go to full art, I don't think you can really gold foil it too much. So like, and again, I am definitely going to be cutting off my own arm by saying this. All right, but maybe the solution is your gold foil is the full art. Like, what if the full art is now that chase foil?
Yeah.
And then, like, everything else is your standard card, right? Like, I could definitely see people getting behind that. Like, but that's directly modeled after Force of Will. Force of Will has every card with a normal border, and then every card is also a full art foil as, like, a chase. So, like, you can bling out your whole deck in full arts. But I don't know how much the community would go for that. And then, like, me personally, as a budget player, like I will not be playing gold foils ever. Like I will get to champion on the backs of regular foils. And that's this decision I've made. So then I would be cutting like my only opportunity to play with full arts. But that could be a good idea. Like I thought about, because that was one of the things I was trying to think about for like Splinterfest, because all in-person tournaments in trading card games that I've ever done, you get a promo card for being there. Like that's your participation trophy, is some kind of promo card that is not a unique card. Like that's like fundamental trading cards. Like you don't print something that the masses don't have access to that is legally playable. You know what I mean? That's like a no-no in the trading card world. So in my mind, it was like, all right, well, what could they do? Like, what could Splinterlands do for like in-person tournaments as like an entry promo? And that's really where I kind of got to, was like a third layer of foiling, something beyond gold foil that would, be really enticing and valuable, because it would only be acquired in-person events. But it wouldn't affect anybody's ability to play the game. Right, it would just have maybe like a 20% bonus instead of a 10%.
We do also have from Splinterless, they showed us, or from Splinterfest, they showed us that these new cards will be able to have like different variants of them, kind of like the skins, but there's more to it.
Yep, I saw that.
So I mean that's another thing, but it's not like a promo. That's just someone goes out and buys it because that's the skin that they wanted, which skins definitely kind of fill that role, but it doesn't really, you're not able to even be able to sell those skins on the secondary market as of right now. So at some point soon, hopefully, but even at that point, we're going to need more. All right, is there anything else we wanted to go over for this specifically, or I can just end it?
I just want my championship belt.
Oh, brother, you were so far off
man.
from winning that one. You know what's going to be hilarious from this? Is you're going to see a proposal from Matt in 2 months with my ideas. And you're going to have to be like, Matt's a genius. I'm going to have to vote for it.
Hey, I bring out the best in people. What can I say? You can congratulate yourself and my influence on that idea after the vote.
All right. Okay. Cool.
Yes, I will. I will definitely give credit to my punching bag.
Awesome.
All right, guys. Thanks everyone for being here. Rogue, Sinister, you guys had a great debate. It was by far the best one I've ever been a part of. So give yourself a round of applause.
One of one, baby. Yeah.
You guys are number one for a reason, and let's hope that this series continues. And who knows? Maybe we get you guys back on here.
Oh yeah, round 2, baby.
Awesome.
So, Rogue, is there any social medias, anything where people can find you?
Yeah, I do SplinterlandsTV Monday night, 9 to 11 p.m. Eastern, and Friday morning, 5 a.m. to 7 a.m. Eastern. We do a YGG SPL podcast every Wednesday. So find us on Twitch and YouTube. Search for YGG SPL. And we also do the weekend challenge every Saturday. We have 2 tournaments that we run live for the community, and we do live events for that as well. So there's usually not a night that you can't catch me somewhere. So come out, say hello, and we'll hang out.
Awesome. Sinister, yourself?
I'm on Splinterlands TV on Saturday nights at 11 p.m. Eastern and Sunday nights at 9 p.m. Eastern, and also have a channel here on YouTube, Tales from the Cryptmancer.
Awesome. All right, guys. Thanks everyone for being here, and I hope you all have an amazing day, night, whatever it is. Take care.
Thanks, gents.
Bye.